everyone, welcome back. I've been back from Baker Lake for about a week now, so I'm going to give you a little bit of comments and talk a little bit about Baker. Sockeye fishery here. I didn't get a video out prepping on anything on setup, and I apologize for that. I will plan on doing that a little bit forthcoming, but we're going to talk a little bit about Baker Lake. There's still people heading up there, and people wanting to fish it. So to start off with, all the West Coast sockeye runs this year are really weak. They're way off the estimates and everything. I think as of today is the 27th of July, and there's only 16,000 fish in the lake, and that they've moved up there. And comparatively, last year at this time there was 43,000 fish in the lake. So we're way off. So I spent a week up there, and I didn't do all that well. I caught 6 fish in a week, and honestly, I caught all 6 of them in the first 3 days of the week, and then the rest of the days I didn't get anything every day. So we'll talk a little bit about. I'm a member on a lot of the Facebook groups and the Baker Lake fishing group and stuff like that, and I know there's a lot of new people that they're wanting to get up to Baker and fish that because it is a really popular fishery. With the Columbia River being closed down this year, every guide in the Pacific Northwest was up there opening day. It was really crowded. It has since petered off because the bite hasn't been all that great. A lot of people are not getting anything. Even the good anglers up there are only getting maybe 2 fish a day, maybe 3, and they're really having to work for them this year. One of the things that I do see a lot of with in the forums is that people are wanting to set up guides and stuff like that and get up there, and I want to put it out there that I don't want to discourage people on going up there and trying out the fishery. But you need to understand that Baker is not like any other fishery on the West Coast, really. It is very defined. You can't just go up there to the lake and throw a line in the water and catch fish. The sockeye up there are very, they have very defined habits. So you need to plan. The bottom line of it is you need to plan ahead, very far ahead, if you're to get up to Baker to do it. It's very difficult if you're trying to put together a guide service at the last minute. I've seen some guys are like, hey, I got tomorrow off of work and I'm looking for a guide who might have an open seat. Okay, the problem with that is twofold. Okay, there is no cell service up there at Baker Lake, so all the guides that are up there, there's not really any way to contact them. So that makes it really difficult. Baker Lake is a very early morning fishery. The bite typically happens on the lake between 4:30 in the morning and 7:30. So very early. Most everybody is up at 3 in the morning, putting boats in the water and getting out to the fishery. To have lines in the water at 4 o'clock ish. Baker Lake does not have a night closure, so you can fish it 24 hours a day if you want. I did it. I sat out there from midnight until 4:30 in the morning before I ever got my first bite. So Generally, I don't think it's really worth going out there all night long and playing around with that. It has to do with the behavior of the sockeye. The sockeye have the largest eyeballs of per body size of all the salmon. They're a deep water fish. They're used to dark conditions, and so that's what so consequently they tend to be a deep water fish. Later in the day when the sun comes up, you want to go a little bit deeper and everything like that. The environmental conditions up there at Baker make it so that roughly about 10 or 11 o'clock, it starts getting windy. And the other thing is that the trolling speeds up there are super slow. You're about 1 mile an hour, 0.9 to 1.2, very slow speed. So a lot of people have got, they're running buckets over the side to slow the boat down. Guys with trolling, bow-mounted trolling motors do pretty good. But if you're running a gas motor, you'll struggle to keep it to get your boat slow enough. So sea anchors and buckets over the side work pretty good. It's fairly common. But about 10 or 11 o'clock, the wind will come up, and it generally will get pretty windy and choppy out there and be really hard to maneuver your boat. So most people are off the water by 10 o'clock, 10, 11 o'clock. They're pulling their boats off the water and they're parking it for the day. Go back to camp, have breakfast, enjoy the rest of your day, go to bed early, and do it all over again at 3 o'clock the next morning. So that's the typical day. There is an evening bite, and it happens about an hour before sundown and lasts about an hour after sundown. But there again, most days it's really super windy, and so it's again very hard to maneuver around out there on the lake at that time of day. So it's a day-to-day thing. You can't really count on it. So it's one of those things to plan ahead on. Equipment-wise, the common deal, and this is, let me get all this junk out of here. This was my kayak setup, and it was a 7-foot FX, Shimano FX rod with a low-profile Akuma cold water reel paired up to it. It feels like it's got probably 30-pound test on it. I typically rig all my salmon rods with 30-pound test. You don't need that much weight for the sockeye. You could drop it down to 15 or 20. However, I found that with the sockeye that they've got pretty sharp teeth out there, and if I do 25-pound leaders or something, stuff like that on here, they tend to nick through it really quick. So I bumped it up to 30. All my leaders and everything are pretty much 30-pound leaders, so they're a little heavy. The lighter stuff does work. Tend to pre-tie leaders so that you can swap them out. These are on 3-foot. These are just double snelled hook rigs. They're on 3-foot leaders. Most of the time what I found works pretty good is going to be anywhere from a 20-inch leader down to a 10. And it's going to depend on what you're putting behind it. You just want to get, you're playing around with the movement of the bait, basically by in making the line shorter or whatever, shorter or longer. The Max Double D, the silvers work good. The greens are pretty common, and the reds. When you're setting these up, you're hooking these in, you drop it into the water and you can see it moving like this. Now, when you have a short leader on here, it's going to whip that bait around really fast. And as you increase the length, the bait back here is going to move through the water a little bit slower. And so that's what you're kind of trying to find, that happy spot where the fish will, do it. It's very common also out there on Baker, because the fishing speeds are so low, to bend the to bend the flashers, the dodgers up. And you can see this one here, I bent it and unbent it, and you just have to see how it's tracking through the water when you're doing it. As far as what to use out there, I have pretty much entirely used the Golden Horde, the Yamashita Golden Horde, or I think it's Silver Horde actually. Squid skirts. The orange ones. Yeah, the Gold Star. The orange ones work pretty good. You can put a Mac Smile blade on them. Again, they work better due to the low speeds out there. The ones, though, I did pretty good this year on these Lost Creek kokanee lures, which look like that. This is straight out of the deal. So I did land 3 of the Sockeye on this little. This is like a 12, 15 pound leader on here. It worked pretty good. So you just have to be very careful after you see this one here. It's actually got nicks in it, and I should replace the line. Sometimes less is more when it comes to fishing for sockeye. There's times where they just don't want this big presentation, and you can entice the bite a little bit with by going with a smaller one. So it's a matter of finding out what they're going to take. I'm gonna typically set this up. We'll bring this back out here just to look at it. Okay, you'll notice it's double hook rig. I run that all the time. One of the things that is a little bit different with Baker, and I don't do this with the other stuff, is I double bait with coon shrimp. Put bait on the front and the back hook, both of them, rather than just the front hook, which you typically would do. So those work really well. The other things that work, last year these things worked really well. This year not so much, as crystal flash flies. These little things right here. If you're familiar with fly tying, they have crystal flash. It's a little mylar thread, and I've rigged these up. They're a tube fly, but you've got UV in there, the green, the glow in the dark, and it's all simulates a little squid is what it is, and that's what the sockeye, when they're out in the ocean, that's what they're eating. It's a little squid and stuff like that. So that's what you're shooting for there at Baker. You can see a couple of other the little Lost Creek ones. The orange ones work good. The pink ones work. The orange ones work the best. The pink ones will work probably the second best. Most of the time they want those orange ones and stuff like that. The other thing that can help you out there on Baker, because a lot of it, the fishery is so dark, is to have a black light flashlight, and or some kind of a black light box that you can charge these with. All of these glow. These are, every single one of them glow in the dark, and so when you expose them to black light, they'll glow for quite a while, and that helps attract the fish in in the dark, and get them out there to the bait. The other thing that you can try doing, especially if you're like me, who are out there by yourself and don't have you've only got 2 rods out in the water. Let me get this out of here, because this is not, that's not a Baker Lake rig. This right here, you're running a downrigger. Typically you're going to run a 6-pound cannonball, and I have modified, this is a Max, a 5-blade little shiner thing from Max. I put my lead on here and run this right off the back of the cannonball. So it's got something spinning in the water, attracting the fish and trying to get them to come up to your boat. The sockeye, they're a schooling type of fish, so they try to get together with each other and everything. So if they see flashes in the water, they want to congregate together, which is fine. That's kind of the idea of what you're doing here. Setbacks on these, 7 to 10 feet. Setback to between your dodger out here and the line going back up to the rod. It's fairly short. The speeds are pretty slow, so you're not running those long leader lengths like we do out in the in the salt water and the sound and stuff like that. So the shorter ones work a lot better. They also help manage, because there's so much boat traffic out there. It's really easy to get hooked up with another boat, crossing lines and all that chaos stuff going on. So early in the morning, you can get them anywhere. You can get hits anywhere from 15 feet down to about 20. The real sweet spot in the lake is 15 to 40 feet. Once the sun comes up later in the day, after that 7:30ish, 8 o'clock time frame, you can go down to 50, maybe even 60 feet. I've never caught anything down that low though, but I can see them on the fish finder when they're down there. But I've never really gone below 50 feet on most of that stuff. And like I said, after 8:30 or 8:30, it just becomes a grind fest, and I'm not really interested in doing that. Usually I'm pretty tired by that point in time and ready to go back to camp and have breakfast and relax for the rest of the day and come up with a new game plan. You have to be willing to change things up, so don't spend too much time married to one particular, put a squid on one rod, put a kokanee plankton on another one, and try it out, see what's hitting, something will hit, and then swap everything over to that. And you'll usually do pretty good. If you get hit in one area, you get a bite in one area, note the area down and circle back. Go back through it, because like I said, there's schooling fish. Where you got one, you're often going to get another one. So make sure that you're working that hole. At Baker, most everybody is going to fish up at the north end. The north end of the lake is there's a shelf. If you go up there, you'll see where everybody's hanging out at. It's deep water out there. I think it's like 160, 170 feet deep. And then right up on the north end of the lake is a mud flat from the Baker River. So it'll get shallow down about 40 feet. And the sockeye will congregate right up against that shelf. And they hang out there until the rainy season comes. So they'll be in there, in that general area, right up until September-ish, late August, September-ish, when they'll start running up the river. Just to recap on what the behavior is up there. So all of those Baker Lake salmon, sockeye, they're caught in a fish net down on the Skagit River, because there's no fish ladders going up Baker River, or there's nothing there. So they trap them down there on the Skagit. They load them up on trucks and they truck them up the river, up to Baker Lake. They part of the run they let loose there at the dam down at the south end, and the other part of it they let loose at Swift Creek campground, which is it's a little more than halfway up the lake. So invariably all the sockeye will end up at that north end waiting for the rainy season to push down to raise the water level of the Baker River, so they can cross that and that drives them up the river to spawn. So that's what makes that the popular area. There is fish down there in the dam end on the south end. I tried fishing that a little bit, and I didn't have any luck down on that end, but there's a lot of people down there that fish that, so it's pretty apparent that they do catch fish down there. Just hasn't been my experience, but it's always an option. So that's pretty much going to be it for my synopsis. Shrimp bait. The popular bait out of there is sand shrimp. It's also dyed coon shrimp. The purples and the chartreuses work pretty good. Those are pretty popular. It sometimes behooves you to buy them a little early, because they get sold out because they are that popular. So keep that in mind. If you are going to plan a trip up to Baker, plan it. It's very difficult for a first-time person to just go up there at a spur of the moment. You have to plan for it. Once you get all set up for it and everything like that, and you figure out, especially if you have a boat of your own, then you can kind of do the last minute thing. Just be aware that you need to be traveling up there early in the morning, because otherwise you could very easily just make a wasted trip up there and spend all day up there just checking out the scenery, which I guess is not really a wasted trip, but you're not going to get fish. You'll struggle at it. So I will do a little more in-depth video next year, next July, when or hopefully next June, on tying up some more and a little more in depth on the Baker Lake salmon run. So until then, I hope you get some knowledge out of this. I know this is kind of just a little bit quick and not a lot of I'm just kind of firing a lot of info at you, and I hope some of it does help. It's a fun fishery. I love going up there. I've been going up there for 5 years now, and it is my summer vacation. So I do enjoy it. This year was the first year I took the big boat up there. Like I said, normally I would take the kayak up there and I'd kayak fish. It is a great kayak fishery. It's because of the speed of the salmon being so slow. You can leisurely pedal around in a kayak and not have to, race around trying to troll. You can get in there with the big boats, and a lot of the kayaks have more maneuverability than those big boats because they're the speed operating difference between them. They're more maneuverable at those slower speeds than the bigger boats are. So it's a good opportunity to go up there and do that and learn the fishery. It does have a learning curve to it, so